La Vuelta agradece a nuestros auspiciadores.
La Vuelta es traído a ustedes por Borincano21 en eBay, Roselyn.boutique y Sammy Auto Detailing.
Juan Carlos Ramírez presenta La Vuelta, un podcast con actitud. Y ahora con ustedes, su anfitrión, Denis Rivera.
Bienvenidos a La Vuelta, un podcast con actitud. Una vez más, Quarantine Style, estamos usando la aplicación Zoom desde lejos y hoy tenemos un invitado bien especial que yo lo mencioné en las redes, alborotó las redes, la gente le gustó y yo creo que vamos a recordar muchas cosas buenas de buenos tiempos de lucha libre en Puerto Rico. Y antes de empezar con ese gran invitado desde el exterior importado, como siempre, síganos en nuestras redes sociales, en Facebook, en Twitter y en nuestro canal de YouTube como La Vuelta PR, La Vuelta Podcast en Instagram. Y nos escuchan en Apple Podcasts, nos escuchan en Spreaker, nos escuchan en iHeartRadio, nos escuchan en Spotify, en Podcast Addict. Así que tienes un montón de lugares para vernos y disfrutarnos. No hay excusa. Gracias por todo el apoyo en todo este tiempo en los rankings. Número 1 en Estados Unidos como podcast en español en Apple Podcasts. Estamos 5 en España y estamos 4 en Santo Domingo. Así que gracias a todos ustedes, de verdad, de todo corazón. Y continuamos y lo hacemos por ustedes. Sin más preámbulos, vamos con la estrella del show. Una persona que militó en Puerto Rico por mucho tiempo. Una persona muy querida por la fanaticada puertorriqueña. Una persona que caló hondo. Una persona que yo vi, que yo trabajé con él backstage en los shows, antes de un show. De eso vamos a hablar ahorita. Directamente de Canadá. El Lobo, Andy Anderson. Andy, how you doing, my brother? Welcome.
I'm doing good. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Mil gracias for having me on the show. It's funny, you're talking, everything you're saying in Spanish, I can understand maybe 80, 90%. And I want to talk back in Spanish. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. But buenos días a todos. Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. Saludos a todos los fanáticos de la lucha libre en Puerto Rico y todo el mundo. Estoy muy contento. I'm very happy to be here right now. Thank you for inviting me.
Así que gracias, Andy, a ti por aceptar. Thank you for accepting our invitation because we were been talking about this a couple of weeks ago, you know, by messenger, like, hey, how about this, how about that? And today is the day, so we're here. So we thank you so much. And I know the fans will appreciate this and we'll have fun watching and hearing this and the different methods that they wanna enjoy this podcast. Brother, since we want to talk about Puerto Rico, is very important, you know, that part here. But first and foremost, how started your passion for wrestling? I think as a child, what was the first thing that caught your eye about wrestling?
For me, for my start for wrestling, I was 5 years old. Fui 5 años. Un tío mío, one of my uncles, he watched lucha libre in Canada siempre cada sábado, every Saturday, 6 p.m., 6 de la noche. It was the AWA, the American Wrestling Association. So, you know, Vern Gagne, Greg Gagne, Nick Bockwinkel, those guys. That's where
old school guys.
Old school, exactly. You know, in the early 80s, the 80s.
Yeah.
Estoy muy viejo, pero but that's where it was for me. So I got to see that. There was the AWA, and then, you know, I was about 5 years old. So as I started to read, you know, I'd get the magazines. Revistas. The magazines, yeah. So like Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Inside Wrestling, WWF Mag, todo the magazina. And then eventually, I think around 1986, that's when I first discovered. We moved from originally, because I'm originally from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, so central Canada. And then my family, we moved to Alberta, Edmonton, Alberta, in 1986. And It was here, that's where they didn't really have the AWA, but that's where I first found WWF, and I found Stampede Wrestling. And that just...
As well as Stu territory.
Exactly, it's too hard territory. I mean, it would take me years later, but to find out like Hercules Ayala was, working there. Carlos had been there. Chicky, yeah. There's several guys. Yeah, and I was actually very fortunate in the past several years before he passed away. I don't know exactly where he lives, but I know I live kind of in the same area. I lived in the same area as Hercules Ayala, so I would see him in the gym, time to time working out. And one day, his wife, she'd be in there too. So I went up to her one day and I was like, hey, like that guy over there, like, that's the Caballero. I said, is that the Hercules Ayala? And she's like, yeah. And so, I started talking to him and he loved it because it's like, yeah, I was with the IWA and working with Savio and Victor Quinones and Miguel and these guys. And so it was enough of a relationship that, every time we saw each other, saludos, ¿cómo está? And, hey, champion, todo bien. And so it's, I'm sad to hear of his passing, but it's neat that kind of came full circle for me in terms of being a wrestling fan and then finding out someone like a leyenda, like a legend, like Hercules Ayala, not only lived in Canada, but not too far from me. And to be able to see him in the gym was very cool.
Let me translate, some of the things. Andy lo que nos cuenta es que desde pequeño un tío, desde los 5 años, empezó a enseñar lo que es la lucha libre con leyendas como Bern Gagne, Nick Bockwinkel, que son leyendas de los 80 en los territorios de Estados Unidos. Una vez de ahí él se muda de Winnipeg, se muda a Alberta en el 86 y ahí ve la Stampede Wrestling, que era la compañía que tenía el papá de Bret Hart. Y allá él vio a luchadores como Hércules Ayala, él vio a luchadores como a Chiqui Star, al Profe, en esos tiempos porque corrían en esos territorios. Él ha visto toda esta trayectoria de luchadores de aquí y de hecho de donde él vive es bien cerca de donde vivía Hércules Ayala, que todos sabemos que murió hace poco, y se encontraban en el gimnasio y él lo reconoció y le dijo, tú eres Hércules Ayala, el campeón. Así que sí, y tuvieron una buena amistad. Lamentablemente Hércules pues falleció, ¿verdad? Y todo es una gran leyenda, una gran pérdida para la lucha libre y pues que descanse en paz Hércules Ayala. So, bro, as a kid, you were watching the good stuff.
Yes, of course.
The good stuff. And when you were growing up as a teenager, you're still watching every Saturday. I went to the stadiums. So as by little age, you were like already sort of determined that you probably will land in the ring.
I wouldn't say that, and just because for that time, especially even though you're a kid and you might want to dream big, it's like all these guys, like from whether it's the Stampede guys, WWF guys, they were huge, they were monsters, larger than life, and so for me to think it's like, okay, well, all these guys, they're like 6 foot, 6'5", 250, 300 pounds. There wasn't really too many smaller guys. So as a child and even growing up as a teenager, I wasn't like a big kid. I didn't start working out when I started working out with weights when I think I was 19 years old, and I was doing that for hockey. So that was so wrestling wasn't even really a thing. I mean, it was something where it would be cool to do someday, sure, but it was not like it was like, oh yeah, that's it, I'm going to be a wrestler. I'm going to be a wrestler. It was for me, it was, soy canadiense, so it was hockey, first and foremost.
Hockey is the national sport of Canada, so everybody loves hockey in Canada.
Just about. So that's why it was kind of like hockey first. I finished playing hockey at the university level, and once I got to around age 20, 21, and that's kind of the infancy of the internet. And that's where I was able to start reaching out. I mean, and we can talk about that a bit more after about kind of how I got into wrestling. But it became one of those things to me. It's like, well, maybe there's something to this wrestling thing. Like I wouldn't mind giving it a try. I'd like to know, get in the ring, see what it's like. I don't want to go through life wondering, oh man, like what if I tried to become a wrestler? Yeah. So, and that's, the what if turned, into 20 some odd years later, here we are talking from Puerto Rico to Canada.
So Let me get translate.
Oh, yeah.
Él empieza desde chamaco, ¿verdad? Empieza a levantar pesas a los 19 años porque estaba entrando para jugar hockey. Y como todos sabemos, el hockey es un deporte, para nosotros es el béisbol, la pelota, en Canadá es el hockey, y eso es casi religión, como en otros países es el soccer, el fútbol. Canadá es el hockey en hielo. Y pues él estaba en eso y jugó en la universidad a nivel colegial, ¿verdad? El hockey, cuando una vez termina, ya con 21, 22 años, es que le pega la piquiña de que, bueno, ¿qué tal si le doy un break a esto de la lucha libre? Ya tenía un poco, estaba más husky, estaba más grande, y le picó la vena y nos quedamos ahí. Okay, so by that time you're 21 years old, out of college. Yeah. And where or who? Because we like wrestling in general.
Right.
We got a couple of guys in specifically that's the pinnacle of a wrestler in your eyes.
Yeah.
So for you, who are those guys?
Oh, that's a tough one. Anytime somebody asks that, and to me, it almost depends on. It's like, okay, what period in time are you asking me? And I was never one to just go, okay, this guy is my favorite wrestler. It was, this guy is my favorite wrestler because he's the best on the microphone. This is my favorite wrestler because, he's the most entertaining. This one's the scary, so it was different like that. So for me, the early days, like as a kid, as a 5, 6 years old, I liked the baby faces. It was like Greg Gagne, Jim Brunzell. There was the big man Crusher Blackwell, Jerry Blackwell, Nick Bockwinkel for a long time. He was like the AWA champion, and he was a heel. And Bobby Heenan was his manager. And it was one of those things that even as like a kid, I hated them because they were cheating. They were cheating my favorites. But there was something about them that I don't know if you want to say that you could like them, respect, or whatever. But there was still something.
You love to hate them.
Yes. Oh, that's sure. Love to hate them. So that's like that. And then once, and even at that time, even in the AWA at that time, so that was before Hulk went to WWF. So, I mean, Hulk Hogan was there for a while, so he was like a favorite. Andre the Giant, all these guys would come through. And so I'd seen a lot of these guys before going on to WWF. Once you get to WWF, as a kid, I mean, Hulk was one of the best. I mean, it's the ultimate baby face. The promos were awesome. The muscles, everything. And you run through, Iron Sheik, that's another one even to this day. Love to hate. That's like one of the ones that was stuck.
Sheik is one of my favorites on Twitter right now, man.
The promotion that I work for up in Canada here, we brought him in, and I think it's might be like the last shows that he has done. It was already maybe 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. We brought in him and Bushwhacker Luke together for a show.
Luke, mate.
We could talk about Luke, but Sheik was so awesome, and it was so much fun to speak with him. I got to hang out with him a bit. I got to talk with him. I had the clubs like he used to do, like the Indian clubs. So I had something similar, and I brought those down, and I was like, hey, can I do a demonstration for you? And he'd do ba, ba, ba. And it was like 25-pound, bells. And he was just like, oh, like it just shoots, you are the real, you are the number one. And, you get to hear stuff like that. Like, and he meant it. Like, it's, man. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So coming from him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then, if we go into later years, then you're talking like the Chris Jericho, you're talking Benoit, Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, like those guys. And
how about Dynamite Kid?
Dynamite, because I saw him a little bit for Stampede, but it was more in WWF. But I don't think
Bulldogs?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think I fully came to appreciate his style until I got I really myself at Chris.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of one of those things where it's like you see Benoit, and then you kind of go back. It's like, okay, well, who influenced him? Then you go back and watch Dynamite's matches, like with Tiger Mask and stuff like that, and it's like, damn. Now it's like,
yeah,
the appreciation, the respect is there, and it's just, it's tough. I mean, Benoit was, as an adult, Benoit was my number one. Like, if you go back to Puerto Rico.
A lot of your matches, you did a lot of his moves. You work like Benoit, and And I was talking about that with Moody yesterday. Yeah, it's true. But Andy was, he was taller and was thicker. Benoit was a brick house, but he was short. But he was a fucking pit bull, ready to rip your head off.
Absolutely.
You were more, you were taller and you were thicker, but at the same time you were agile. Yeah. But you make some of his moves. You took him in your stuff.
Yes.
And do it and did it good.
Thank you.
You did it like it is.
Yeah.
And you put a couple of your things. You have some lucha libre on you. You have some Japan style on you. You mix all that shit. We
a little bit of everything.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
that was the thing. And for me at the time, because like Benoit was kind of who I was doing, and I can look back now and I can see where, and nothing. And I don't, I don't regret anything. I don't take anything back. But there was certain aspects where I could see where talking like with Savio, with Dutch, with Luke, Miguel, where it's like, like if I had kind of moved away from that and gone a little bit more entertainment and the more character driven in IWA versus I just wanted to be like Benoit. I wanted to be a machina, like a machine, wrestling machine.
Yeah.
Which was good, but yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's.
No, man, it was good. Let me translate a couple of things to the crowd. Él me cuenta desde el principio, ¿verdad? Que luchadores yo le pregunto de sus influencias y él empezó como los old school, que él empezó a ver como los Nick Bockwinkel, perdón. Bockwinkel.
Sí.
Bockwinkel. Que era un rudazo, era rudo y era el rudo que tú amabas odiar. O sea, era tan rudo que llegó un momento que uno hasta cariño le coge. Y luchadores así, después llegó un Hulk Hogan, que él también, pues, como todo joven, entiendo que Hulk Hogan fue un ícono de todos nosotros cuando crecimos, cuando jóvenes, pero más adelante, él ve a los Chris Jericho, él ve a los Chris Benoit, que son luchadores de talla mundial, o sea, son excelentes, y eso es parte de la influencia de él. Incluso cuando trabajó en Puerto Rico, muchas de sus movidas, como yo le dije, venían de Chris Benoit porque lo emulaba. Y estamos hablando que Chris Benoit emulaba al Dynamite Kid, por eso yo le hago la pregunta sobre Dynamite Kid, pero todo se junta. Y es bonito eso de la lucha libre, que tú des tributos a luchadores, y a veces uno no sabe bien de dónde viene, pero cuando uno ve la historia y sigue el rastro, pues ve de dónde viene todo. Y eso es lo lindo de la lucha libre, y cada persona sigue evolucionando y pagando el tributo, paying los respects a los luchadores. So, Andy.
Yes, sir.
Who was your first trainer, and where
how did I break in?
The first school you went in your life?
For me, so living in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and this is okay. So I can give you the short story here. So I was going to university here, and we had access to the computers. This was when the internet was it was the World Wide Web.
It was the late 90s?
Yeah, the World Wide Web. Before they called it like the internet, everything was www. It was World Wide Web.
Yeah. The lousy noises and stuff.
Yeah, the dial-up.
Yeah.
So somehow, if you remember Johnny B. Bad, Mark Merrow.
Yeah, Mark Merrow.
He was online and it seemed like I think to me he was like one of the first major stars that was pretty interactive on the internet.
All right.
And so I emailed him. I think I was, hey, like I'm a kid from, soy un muchacho de Canada. I want to become a wrestler. What do you suggest? And he recommended to me, he gave me Dean Malenko's phone number. So he said, this is who you should talk to train. So I called up, I talked to Dean Malenko on the phone. But the thing was, I forget exactly how much it was, but it was like several $1,000s US. So it's like, now it's a lot of money. Back then that was still a lot of money too.
Yeah, of course.
And kid in university, I didn't have that kind of money. So it's like, okay, well, I need to look elsewhere. I came across somebody else that was involved in wrestling out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, so where I originally came from. And so I reached out to this individual, and I'm like, I'd like to get into wrestling. I'm interested in training. Who would you suggest I talk to? He referred me to a gentleman. His wrestling name is Vance Nevada. And like most people may not know him, but in Canada, I'd say he's reasonably well known. Very nice guy, and amazing knowledge. And like I would say, he's like a wrestling historian these days. Like he knows so much about, especially the Canadian wrestling, like all across Canada. Total Lepai, like wow. So I got in touch with him, and as we got talking, it's like, okay, well maybe we can work something out. Fortunately, having lived in Winnipeg, I had family there. I moved back, and that's where I started my wrestling training, was in Winnipeg. And so it was Vance Nevada. At the time, he had a tag team partner because he was part of a tag team. His name was Robbie Royce. He was a tremendous talent, so it was like he helped as well. And then a few other guys that were, you might have like one or two particular like trainers, but then as you're training in groups, you got some of the other like veterans, some of the other guys that are all kind of helping you out. So that's kind of how I got my start. I didn't really do anything in Alberta for a similar reason to the Dean Malenko thing. Was in the past, when I had seen stuff for Stampede Wrestling, it was still looking like it was going to be, a couple $1,000s. And it's like, whether it's Canadian money or US money at the time, I'm like, okay, I don't have a lot of money. How am I going to make this work? So, but it made sense for me to go back to Winnipeg, and that's where I got my start.
All right. So, a la gente, él empezó poco a poco, empezando el internet para los 90, a los finales de los 90. Él se mete a buscar, y Mark Merrow era un luchador que fue de los primeros pioneros que empezó con esto del internet. Y él se conecta con él, que es un muchacho de Canadá, quiero empezar a luchar, ¿con qué tú me recomiendas? ¿Con quién? Y le da el número de uno de mis luchadores favoritos, Dean Malenko. Pero la escuela de Dean Malenko costaba miles de dólares, y un chamaco joven de la universidad que no está, como la mayoría, como todos, pues no tiene el dinero, es muy caro, sigue buscando, encuentra a este luchador que es de donde él vivía a principio, que es de Winnipeg, Johnny Nevada, right?
Vance Nevada.
Vance Nevada, un luchador muy conocido en el territorio canadiense y un historiador actualmente de la lucha libre canadiense, que sabe mucho de la historia de la lucha libre y de los sucesos que han ocurrido a través del tiempo en la lucha libre canadiense, que nos ha dado tantos buenos luchadores. Y ahí él vuelve al lugar donde estaba, para Winnipeg, de Alberta, se muda a Winnipeg otra vez para comenzar a entrenar ahí con él, y su pareja, que luchaba con Mr. Nevada en la lucha libre, lo ayudan a entrenar a Andy. So Andy, you start there, your first steps, your baby steps in the ring.
Yep.
But after that, you went to other places to train. You met other people.
Yep.
How was that journey?
So to make that one short, because there's a lot. So I started training in April 1996. Even then, at that time, one thing I knew was that if I wanted to do something, if I wanted to make it somewhere, unfortunately, it's like you need to get out of Canada. Especially at that time, I mean, there was the internet was in its infancy, so it's not like you could just click on YouTube and go, oh, okay, well, this is this wrestler here, or see.
And by that time, the territory in Canada, Stampede, I think, was bought by
Stampede
him, right?
Yeah, Stampede was done. So it was just like the smaller independents, like each province. Alberta had independents, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, Manitoba. So I was wrestling, primarily in Manitoba. We wrestled, once every 2 weeks or whatever, the shows. And so from that time, where I'll take it to is we'll go from there to about 98. So basically it was me kind of being in Canada, going into the States, down around Tennessee. So, Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri, there I wrestled a few times for the USWA out of Memphis. That was Jerry Lawler's promotion.
Yeah, it's a famous promotion.
Exactly, yeah. So I got to wrestle there a few times, and then kind of all in the southern states. So that was I did that in 96 and then again in 97. I got to wrestle some shows. Some people might know if you listen to like Edge and Christian, some of those guys talk about up here. There's a promoter who's been running for years out of Manitoba. His name is Tony Condello. And so he was the one, like he ran like way up, like a lot of Canada, like where I am, like Edmonton and some of these major centers is no different than, you know, like San Juan or any other like cities. I know a lot of times people think they're like Canada. It's like, okay, it's all, you know, snow and igloos and
skull as hell.
yeah, you know, and poco gente aquí, allá. So,
no, man, Canada is huge.
Yeah, well, Canada. Go ahead.
I got friends of Canada. I got friends on Facebook that I just met them by Facebook, and they're great. They're great people, and Canada is huge and beautiful, man.
Oh yeah, well, in Canada, I mean, it's a larger Canada. Canada itself, the landmass is bigger than the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the population of Canada is, I think, like 33 million people. In the United States, the population of California is 33 million people.
Yeah.
So
the United States is like 350, right? Something like that.
Yeah, whatever. So it's
a lot of people.
But anyways, so these tours would be like way up northern Canada where, you know, it was tough to get to. So I did some of those, and then I come back to the States. And then it was like March 1998, I moved back. I went to stay in the States down out of Nashville, Tennessee. So I moved to Nashville in 98, and then May 1998, I was wrestling on some shows with an American independent wrestler, and his name was Chad Casey, and he had done some stuff. He'd wrestled in Mexico, and him and I kind of hit it off, and somehow it's a little foggy, but I know he was working on a show. I don't think I was on the show, but he was like, he's like, you know, you got to come to the show and hang out, because it was a Saturday, and then Monday Night Raw was going to be in Nashville on the Monday. So it was either a Saturday show or a Sunday show, and I wasn't booked, but I went. And he's like, you need to come because there's a promoter from Puerto Rico there named Victor Quinones who's going to be there. And at the time, Victor, you know, was part of WWF. That was right around the time, like with the Super Astros.
Yeah.
The program. So go to this show, and, you know, we meet Victor. I think we went out for supper or whatever, hung out, and he's like, hey, you know, like you guys should come to Raw, you know, in Nashville on the Monday. Maybe maybe we can find something for you guys. So regardless, of course, this is awesome. Like, you know, when you're a young guy and an opportunity to go backstage to WWF, you know, you're not going to say no.
You take it.
Absolutely. And, you know, even just to be backstage and just to be there is awesome. So that Monday, Chad Casey and I, we went to Monday Night Raw. We met Victor, because at the time that was the Bariquas were there. So, I mean, you know, Miguel, you know, Savio, Castillo,
and Jose Estrada.
Estrada, yeah, because I was Estrada Jr., right?
Yeah, he was the brother of Rico Suave.
Yes,
and
yes.
Son of the Super Medic.
Yes, yeah. Estrada Senior, because I remember Estrada Senior with when he was doing IWA. But yeah, so we also met those, you know, met a lot of the guys. But anyways, we got to a point where there was something. It was like, I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was in like the catering room, and I think it was like Victor and a couple of guys were sitting there, and Victor was like, he says, like, he points to me, he says, go and talk to so and so. He says, I think we got something for you. And I was like, okay, cool, like whatever. Like, I'm thinking I'm gonna get to work a dark match or do whatever. I'm excited, and I forget exactly who I talked to, but I think it was one of the agents. But what I ended up doing that night is I was a security guard, because this was also in the midst of the Stone Cold Steve Austin era.
The Attitude Era. The
Attitude
era.
And so there was Austin and Vince. That night was also the same night as the debut of Val Venus, who, you know, Sean Morley, also from Puerto Rico, WWC.
Fellow Canadian that worked a lot of years here in the island.
Yeah. So I ended up being a security guard that was in charge of keeping Stone Cold out of the arena, or supposed to keep Stone Cold out of the arena. So if you go back and watch the episode, it's on the WWE Network. It's like May 18th. It's like the third week of May, 1998. Whatever. But
young Andy Anderson.
yeah. I had a little bit more hair, not much than I do now.
Hey, man.
Exactly. So, but I had about 4 or 5 segments throughout the entire show, because it was like Steve Austin walks up, it's like, hey, you know, you're not allowed to come in. He's like, I'm gonna go drink some beers, come back, you're gonna let me in. You know, then another segment, he comes back and like, hey, you can't come in. Bam, you know, beats the heck out of me, throws me against the door. You know, that's it. And then they got me with the police officers. Hey, we're looking for Stone Cold Steve Austin. He assaulted the security guard. And, you know, so they got us searched throughout the show. By the end of the show, they've got Steve Austin in the police car. You know, he's got the handcuffs on, and, you know, he's like, okay, we'll tell you what, we're not going to press charges. We'll let you go if you apologize to the security guard. And so he's like, oh, you want me to apologize? He says, okay, I'm sorry. He says, no, I'm sorry. You're such a, you know, stupid son of a bitch. I'm sorry, this, that. You know, if you don't like it. And then the last thing before you go to commercial is just me going like, you know, with the face. So it was cool. So I got to do a lot, and that was kind of my first intro. That was like my first time kind of meeting, you know, on that weekend meeting Victor.
Okay, bro. Let me translate some of this stuff to the people, because now we're getting to the good stuff. We're getting to the juicy part. Anyway, lo que Andy estaba contando de principio, ¿verdad? Una vez él entrenó y siguió buscando más conocimiento de la lucha, empiezan sus shows pequeños en Canadá, porque ya el territorio grande, que era Stampede de Stu Hart, ya Vince lo había comprado, ya no existía. So quedaban estas empresas independientes, pero buenas en Canadá, donde él se mantenía luchando. Pero una vez también por ahí siguió y llegó a Estados Unidos, luchó en lugares como Tennessee, en la empresa USWA, que es de Jerry Lawler, que es un Hall of Famer de WWE, y un territorio Tennessee de los más famosos y los más aguerridos del mundo, que el estilo de Tennessee es bien parecido al de Puerto Rico en muchas cosas. Pero de ahí él luchó en muchos estados, diferentes territorios de Estados Unidos. Y dentro de uno de esos shows está con esta persona que le dice después del show que deberían janguear en un sitio, que el jangueo, que conozca gente. Y ahí que este caballero conoce a una persona que todos conocemos muy bien, que se llama Víctor Quiñones. Y Víctor Quiñones habla con ellos, le dice que los invita para el show, que estaban en Tennessee luchando. Los invita para el Monday Night Raw, que era varios días o al otro día. Los invita a Monday Night Raw. Ellos van allá y Andy termina siendo de uno de los guardias de seguridad cuando estaba comenzando esta explosión de Stone Cold Steve Austin, del hijo de la gran, que le sacaba el dedo a todo el mundo, que no se la reía a nadie. Y Andy termina siendo el guardia de seguridad, que Stone Cold le mete la pela y lo chava todo, y que eso lo pueden buscar en el WWE Network. Eso fue mayo 18.
I think 13,
May 18.
Yeah, like this, 18, somewhere. It's about like the third week of May, 1998.
Okay, tercera semana de mayo de 1998, Monday Night Raw. Quien va a coger la pela ahí, que ustedes van a ver, es un joven Andy Anderson en su comienzo, porque eso fue de los breaks que le concedió Vitín, y de ahí él conoció obviamente a Sabio, conoció a Miguel, a Castillo, conoció a Cheo Estrada, que eran los boricuas en aquel tiempo, y Vitín, que trabajaba con la WWE y era agente de muchos luchadores, incluyendo mexicanos y de algunas superestrellas, como al principio de Kane. Él trabajaba la carrera de Kane en WWE. Eran otros tiempos, otros negocios, y Vitín tenía mucho poder en la lucha libre, y lo conocían en todo el mundo, en México, Japón, Estados Unidos y Puerto Rico, de los territorios más fuertes que había, y Canadá también, que son de los territorios más fuertes del mundo. Pues ahí van a ver a Andy cogiendo la pela, y después lo arrestan a Stone Cold y le dicen que pues, se tiene que, para que no le sometan cargos, se tiene que disparar. El guardia de seguridad agredió, que es Andy Anderson, y Stone Cold le dice que sí, que lo siente, que este es un hijo de la gran puta, que no sirve para un carajo, que siente, y lo insulta y lo jode, le saca los dedos, y pues el gimmick de Stone Cold, como todos conocemos. But Andy, after that was a great story, a hilarious story, because now I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look for it. I'm gonna watch it. After that, después de esos breaks, you and Quiñones and Savio, because they were in cahoots. They were,
working together. Yeah.
They were cooking something.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were cooking something, but they were waiting.
Yeah.
It wasn't the time. So after that, how is your approach to come to the island and for the first time?
Okay, so so I go back. So that night, that Monday night, we do the show. The show finishes. After that, it was Victor, Val, Taka Michinoku, because he was also one of Victor's guys.
Yeah.
And S.A. Rios. We all went out for supper. And basically, good time. And the last thing was kind of like, hey, Victor's like, here's my phone number, because I was, in Tennessee for a while. He says, when you're done here, when you need to find something else, you give me a call and I'll see if I can help you out. So I said, okay, cool. So that's good. Now at the time, I didn't have proper work papers for the Estados Unidos. I wasn't, I went across, like no work visa or anything, just, hey, yeah, I'm going for holiday, whatever. And
yeah, just to visit the family and come back.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure what it is now, but at the time, the longest time a Canadian could be in the United States without a work visa or something was 6 months, or 6 months plus. If there was 12 months of the year, you had to spend at least one more day in Canada than in the United States.
All right.
Okay, so that was that. So I was there March, April, May, June, July. So as I'm hitting August, that's kind of my six month. So I was like, okay, I got to go back to Canada, because if I want to do anything else in the fall, I still got to have some time. Otherwise, I could get in trouble. So I'm getting ready to leave Nashville. And so when I moved to Nashville, I drove down from Canada. So I had my car, and, it's 40 some odd hour drive from Edmonton, but I was going to Winnipeg. So it was about 25, 26 hour drive.
Wow.
Yeah, by myself.
Wow.
So right before I left Nashville, I spoke to Victor and I said, hey, I'm leaving Nashville. I'm going to go back to Canada. If there's anything, that comes up that you can help me with, that would be great. So I left Nashville, whatever day of the week it was. And the first day I drove 18 hours, about 18 hours. It was from Nashville. I drove all the way to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and then stayed overnight there. And then it was about 7-8 hours to go from Minneapolis to Winnipeg. And that was the rest of my drive. Now at the time, there also wasn't a lot of cell phones around. So it's not not like today. So when I got back to Winnipeg, I was staying with my grandma, because that's my mom's mom. That's who I was staying with. So by the time I got back to Canada, she said, I think I walked in and she's like, oh, some guy named Victor called. He wants you to call him because he might, something about wrestling. So I called Victor back and he's like, yeah, how would you like to go to Mexico? There's an opportunity to go to Mexico. Yeah, of course. Totally. So in that span from that one time of, the one day of me saying, hey, Victor, if there's anything, let me know. Within, 2 days, it was like, okay.
He already called you.
Yeah, he's like, okay. So I had an opportunity to go to Mexico in October of that year. So it was for 2 months. And that was out of Monterrey, Mexico. And so I went. So there was, Victor had sent myself. There was another guy there from the U.S., the American Destroyer. And there was some other kid from Puerto Rico that was ridiculously green. And his name was Ricky Banderas. And so that first time meeting Ricky, that was my first time being immersed in with the Spanish, the Latino culture, working the estilo lucha libre mexicano, and like I said, I was there for about 2 months, and awesome, loved it. We were wrestling. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let me translate something.
Yeah.
Él dice que después después de ese Monday Night Raw, pues le dice a Víctor Quiñones, mira, cualquier cosa, está en mi teléfono, está en mi contacto. Si hay algo, una oportunidad, él tiene que volver a Canadá porque los canadienses, él salía sin visa para Canadá y los canadienses en Estados Unidos pueden estar, si el año tiene 365 días, pues 183 días tienen que estar en Canadá. Tienen que estar más tiempo en Canadá que en Estados Unidos. Ellos tienen hasta 6 meses para estar en Estados Unidos. So ya era el tiempo de Andy volver a Canadá para no meterse en problemas con la inmigración de Estados Unidos y con su país también. So, él habla con Quiñones, ponle un día como hoy, él se va, él guía 18 horas hasta Minneapolis, Minnesota, desde Tennessee. Allí duerme, de ahí vuelve, se tira otro viaje brutal, ahí llega a Canadá. Cuando llega a Canadá, en un periodo ya en 2 días, cuando llegó a casa de la abuela, que era donde se estaba quedando Andy, que fue donde se mudó cuando fue a entrenar lucha libre a buscar lo que quería hacer. Cuando llega la abuela le dice, mira, un tal Víctor te llamó, que consíguelo, que llámalo. Y cuando llama a Víctor, ahí se le aparece una oportunidad a Andy para, Víctor que yo le dice que si quiere ir a México. Obviamente, pues Andy accede a ir a México y fue un luchador americano, de American Destroyer, y había un muchacho puertorriqueño dentro de ese corillo que Víctor llevó allá a México y era una persona bien verde, another tone of green, Ricky Bandera. Ricky empezando chamaquito. I know the story because I was there. I saw it, I heard it. The story about how Ricky asked for his first chance in pro wrestling. I remember that because Savio he was still in WWE.
Yeah.
But he was doing some TV shows like in a little space in Bayamon.
Okay.
Taping some things with Bronco and stuff.
Yeah.
And at that day, sometimes, Savio and me, we've been always close, but because he's been always busy when he was young in the wrestling, we don't have much time to be together and hang out like brothers. So sometimes when he came, he took me to shows and we would hang out and we'd drink and whatever.
Yeah.
That day I went to that show. He was still working with Vince.
Okay.
And I already know that the shit. I'm not in the business, but I know the shit.
But yeah.
I know how it works. So I'm staying, sitting in a corner, watching the show and stuff. But I see at the other side of the place, like there's a bunch, like 3 guys and 1 girl. But 2 of those guys are like living in it. They're commentating. So there's a guy doing commentary and another guy doing color, but they're fans. They're doing play-by-play right there. One of those guys is Neo, and he used to work in IWA. Neo in Montana, but Neo.
Oh, is that the referee, Montana? Ricky, we're talking about the referee.
No, Ricky Montana.
Okay.
Neo.
Okay.
There was Neo in Montana. There used to be a tag. I think.
Okay.
You weren't in Puerto Rico by that time.
Okay.
But he ended working with IWA. The other guy doing the color commentary was Ricky. After that show, I stood, I'm waiting for my bro to, after that, get something to eat and get a couple of drinks and go back home. Yeah. I see that when Savio comes out, he stood there with that guy waiting. They wait. And Savio took a long time. And they wait. And he take a long time.
Oh yes, yeah.
And when he came out, they went straight to him like, "Oh, what do you think? We can train because I'm interested in this and that." And then a couple of years later, I see this guy in IWA, like the Patriot, the Ricky. Oh, that's so years. You saw Mark.
But hey, we're all the majority of us. We're all fans to start.
We all start as the Marks.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah, I remember similar. I remember similar. Just because you're talking about this memory, just to kind of go back. But I remember at the time I was already in Puerto Rico, and I remember going to watch. I think it was me, Ricky, and Victor. I think we went to this independent show, and I remember it was like a small round.
Yeah, the arena, like Toreros Arena.
Yeah, I want to say Catania, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it's Catania.
Yeah. And whatever the independent show, we came to look at one guy, and there was a tag team, and I know the other guy ended up doing some stuff with IWA, one half, and the other guy was Apollo.
Peter the Stripper.
Yes, Peter the Stripper. And man, we can get away from my stuff because now I can go back to when we did the first. We did the big WWF show in one of the baseball stadiums, and the opening, like the dark match, was me versus Peter the Stripper. It was Apollo, and I specifically and I remember because we were like, so the baseball stadium, so all the seats are here, the ring, and then there's like the long entranceway, like in the outfield. Because I remember we had to take the golf cart around to get to. I was the guy that drove the golf cart.
Okay,
so then yeah. So
I know. I was there.
And there you go. So you know what I'm talking about. So, anyways, I specifically, God bless him, and I love Apollo. So but I came out. I know I came out first, and I was like the heel, and I was like serious and stuff and whatever. And I specifically remember Victor telling Apollo, Peter the Stripper, when you come out, don't do this, don't do this thing, because the people will just. And I remember waiting in the ring, and he's walking out, and all of a sudden he's. I don't know if he remembers that, but I remember that to this day. So, but anyways, I know we had a good match. I know I beat him. It's probably one of the few times.
He was green by that time.
Oh,
he was green. Yeah. He was green.
Yeah, but I remember it was a good match, and I remember the people got into it. So it was, we did what we had to do. We did our job. So, anyways, I digress because I've become the Ricky Banderas and Apollo show, and they already get enough coverage.
So let me translate some of these things. Una vez ellos están en México y todo esto, llega la oportunidad de venir a Puerto Rico y ellos van a este show independiente en la allá de Cataño, que es la pequeñita. Y ahí están viendo talentos, y en esos talentos ven a este muchacho llamado por Peter el Stripper, que todos conocemos por el León Apolo. Y el León Apolo tenía este gimmick como estilo Alex Wright, like.
Yes.
Era un estilo a lo Alex Wright, pero que pues, obviamente Víctor lo vio, tenía tamaño, tenía potencial, se le podía enseñar y sacar algo. Lo traen a IWA en un show, que eso fue el show del 90. That was the show in 99 that WWE stars came. You and me, we were putting like the green thing over the field. Like
maybe it could have been probably.
Yeah, probably. I remember you and me. We were pushing the fucking rolls of the tarp.
Yeah,
and then we put the shares on it. We were like everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Yeah.
By that time was when I met you. I met you like I was working in the show, so I was the motherfucker.
Yeah,
dressed like a tiger. And I was the motherfucker that
Luchito. Was that Luchito? Yeah, because Luchito, and then we had the other guy that was the bartender from Loopy's or something. His name was Brian. So there was you. Yeah, no, because that was.
But the first Luchito was me, man. The first one in that show. They ripped one of my claws in my legs. They ripped my tail because I started throwing the DVDs and T-shirts, and people saw that, and it was fucking full house. So everybody came to me. I had three security guards for 1,000. What the fuck? Like, oh shit, take me out of here! You're gonna kill me.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was the first one, man. The original Luchito.
Yes,
man.
The original Luchito.
So that's great, man. So that's when I met you about the first time. I know, and you were always so nice to everybody. You always cool. You get jokes. You do jokes.
Yeah.
But you always were like cool. You don't drink. You don't do stuff.
Yeah, nothing.
You're straight like a motherfucker.
Straight edge is not the straight edge.
Yeah, straight edge, straight edge. Because I remember back in the days in the shows, the ring was set up early, and you went to the ring and you start doing drills and stuff.
Yeah, by myself. Yeah,
by yourself. There was nobody else. When I start wrestling, I'll start doing all those things, but with the guys, and we start like training before the show.
Yeah.
It's discipline, and
yes.
It's good for opening your lungs for when you go to the ring, you feel better and stuff.
Yeah, just conditioning. Because that was my thing, was that with my time in IWA, all the matches I did, I never got blown up. Nobody ever blew me up. I always had the conditioning.
That was great, man. I wish I can say that, but it's not that. But lo que estamos contando Andy y yo, ¿verdad? De todo este tiempo, de todas estas historias. Para el 99, IWA cuando en sus comienzos tiró un show bien grande en el Gran Beaton. Y para ese show yo trabajaba en IWA en backstage. Yo trabajaba haciendo promociones, yo me ponía un autoparlante en el carro mío y daba la promoción por todos los pueblos, el pueblo que me mandaran. Yo repartía flyers. Yo hacía un montón de cosas en IWA cuando IWA comenzó, pero yo nunca pensaba ser luchador para ese tiempo. Yo vine a ser luchador casi 10 años después de ese tiempo. Y para ese tiempo conozco a Andy porque en el Gran Beaton el toldo que se le tira al terreno estaba recogido y nosotros teníamos que montar el ringside, que era enorme, y nos mandaron a poner los toldos y nosotros empujando esa mierda, estaba caliente, hacía un calor cabrón. Y Andy, siendo talento, trabajó en eso. Pusimos toda esa mierda, estaba Ibe, pusimos los guard rails, pusimos la silla, le pusimos los fucking numeritos con tape. Y eso el show fue un sábado y nosotros estamos, creo que ya desde jueves, trabajando en el fucking sitio. Y se hizo un túnel que salía del dugout y la tarima salía por el centro field hacia el ring, por la tercera base hacia el ring. Y había un túnel grande que yo guiaba ese carro de golf con los luchadores. Lo hice en muchas ocasiones, en el Parque de Caguas también lo hice. Pero que para ese tiempo también yo hice de Luchito, que era la mascota de IWA, que era el tigre, que lo mencioné con el podcast con Sabio último. Y me arrancaron el rabo, me arrancaron una parte de la pierna, del uniforme, fue un descojón, pero fue un buen show. Y en ese show, a Andy le toca luchar con Peter, el stripper, que lo conocemos todos como el León Apolo. Fue una buena lucha, a pesar de que para ese tiempo Apolo estaba verde, era bien rookie todavía, no tenía la experiencia, y era un escenario bien grande, que los nervios también tienen algo que ver. Pero fue una buena lucha, Andy ganó, y después de ahí vamos a continuar hablando con Andy más de las cosas, más de sus vivencias en la lucha libre en Puerto Rico. So, Andy.
Yes.
After that great show that we have, that a lot of WWE stars came to here. It was a big house. It was a great house.
Yeah.
You start wrestling you moved to Puerto Rico. You live in Puerto Rico for a lot of time.
3.5 years.
3.5 years. That's a lot of time. From a guy in Winterfell, in the winter over there,
to
the tropics where it's hot as hell all year around.
I'm ready to talk about Puerto Rico, because there's as we talk, as you're saying stuff, and I'm listening to the Spanish, and I'm like, I got this memory. I'm thinking of this guy. I'm like, what the hell? What was the name of this restaurant? What was this restaurant? What was this one? What was this? Just.
I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna talk about the wrestling, but how about you used to live in Los Pinos, in Isla Verde?
Yeah.
And you used to go. Every guy used to go to Lupi's, right across the street.
Yeah.
And you had the beach like couple steps in front of you. You can take your son. You were in the beach. You can yacht. You can.
There as a young, like a single guy, a luchador. You're on TV. Although, at the first when we started, because that's when we were just doing the first set we did like all the TV tapings, because that was what like Savio and Victor was like, okay, we're gonna get all this TV. I think we had like 12 weeks or 14 weeks worth of TV. We filmed all that stuff. We're gonna start showing that, and then eventually we'll start running house shows. So it wasn't just, you know, everything started. I mean, and when we started the shows, we had 60 people, 70 people, you know, 100 people, and it took time. But you know, at the time, to be a young guy, single young guy living on a beautiful island like Puerto Rico, like you said, like, and all the times for, you know, as I got moved around wherever, you know, we had either like an apartment or a house. It was always kind of along Isla Verde Boulevard. All right. So it was never too far, because there was Los Pinos for a while. There was apartments that were kind of like right beside Lupi's. It was there for a while. Then I think Victor had bought the house that was right at the edge. What's after Isla Verde there? What was the next neighborhood over from there?
I think it's Condado.
No, before Condado. It was a bit of a rougher neighborhood. Right after
Carolina? In Carolina?
No, not Carolina. I can't remember. But it was literally like the house and this was like the kind of the last house that I kind of had the longest stretch in before my time was up. But I mean, and that house, there was a house, and then there's a little guest house in the back. So I mean, Dutch Mantel stayed in the house in the back, and then the main house was split, and there was like a separate little quarters in the back, and then Bushwhacker Luke stayed there, and then the other part of the house was like, it was me, and then if it was, you know, Slash Venom, if it was Assad, if it was Abyss, if it whoever, you know, the extraños, the outsiders.
Outsiders came.
Yeah, that's where.
Stood there.
And we stood there, and it was right at the end of the street, and there was a big, like a cement, I don't want to say like a wall. It was a wall, and if you climbed over the wall, it was like the neighborhood. It was a bit like the projects kind of. Man, if you said the name, I would, you know, and I know we did a few shows there too. There was like one of the councils.
It was like God damn.
Yeah, someone's gonna be watching this show or listening, and they'll be going, "Puñeta, whatever it was." But it was So it was like Isla Verde, and it was kind of like the next one before you kind of got into like Condado kind of thing. There was like whatever was in that middle one there. But I remember because we often go through, because there's a shortcut through there, and there was a little strip mall that had like a Subway and a movie store, and that's like a lot of times we'd go.
Yeah, I used to work there, man, in that strip right there, man. And after that was Lloren Torres. That was the
Lloren Torres. That was it. I think that was it. Lloren Torres.
Was the projects.
Yeah.
In front of the place, there's like a houses. There's the beach. There's a couple of Subways. There used to be a Pollo Tropical.
Yes.
There used to be a salon, a beauty salon. I used to work in the beauty salon as a fucking valet parking, you know, driving expensive cars and stuff, and getting great tips by that time. I used to see you all guys all the time,
because we'd always be walking down the street.
Yeah, you were walking. Yeah. I used to watch you, Slash, Bison, Shane. Shane, no, because he was Puerto Rican already.
Yeah, he was already married off.
He was one of us.
He had his girlfriend. He was
Yeah. But I saw a lot of you, a lot of Bison. I saw the most guy I saw was Bison, like walking shirtless with shorts and that big head that he used to have, like this.
And he stood out, so you don't miss him. Yeah. He's walking down the street.
No, you don't want to mess with a guy like that. Yeah, he was huge, and he was a sweetheart. You know, I miss him so much, because he always was a great guy to me and to a lot of guys. He was a great talent, a great person, and I miss him dearly, man.
Yeah.
Since when I found out the news, it's still hard to talk about that.
Yeah.
But let me translate some, because I don't want the people to get lost, and this is pretty cool. Andy vivió en Puerto Rico, empezó en Los Pinos, que era la primera oficina en Los Pinos, en Isla Verde, frente a Lupi, que Víctor Quiñones tenía. Y uno era la casa de Víctor, y ahí habían cuartos y se quedaban a veces varios luchadores. Y abajo había otro apartamento, pero esa era la oficina. Ahí estaba el cuarto de edición, donde tú hacías entrevistas. Si no ibas al parking, grababas entrevistas en el parking y qué sé yo. Pero con el tiempo, pues los muchachos, pues Víctor compró casa cerca de Llorén Torres, eso, y se me olvida el nombre del lugar, pero es bien cerca, porque yo trabajaba ahí, pero pues estamos a muchos golpes en la cabeza.
Exacto, el mismo.
y pues ellos vivieron ahí en un tiempo, vivió Dodge, vivía Luke, estaba él, estaba Slash, estaban muchos de los boys que ustedes disfrutaron y gozaron de lo que ellos nos brindaron en la IWA, en la lucha libre puertorriqueña. Y pues un muchacho de Canadá llegando a esta isla, vacilando, luchando, saliendo en televisión toda la semana, es como que es una experiencia buena para uno como persona, ¿verdad? Y más como luchador que uno está buscando crecer. So Andy, man, you have a lot of great matches here with a lot of people, but there's one that stood a lot, from maybe the others, is the one that you have was super crazy here.
In Carolina?
Yeah, that was a hell of a match, bro.
Muchas gracias.
And after the post I did today, one of my friends, Juan C. Gonzalez, shout out to my buddy. He posted that match on his Facebook, and a lot of people started talking about that match too. And can you recall some of those of that match of those times?
I can do that match, and then I can go back. So that match, for me, which was it was a turning point, and maybe not the best one in my wrestling career, because if you go back and watch that match, near the end, Crazy and Bruno and was it the Lucha Libre 101 guys, whatever, they're all out there, and I go to do the dive off the ladder, and the ladder kicked out, and and they tried to catch me, and I missed. So, I hit the floor. I broke my collarbone that day.
Oh.
Ustedes a ver la manera en que se lastimó el hombro lobo Andy Anderson en las alturas. Mira para allá, movida suicida.
But we didn't find out, and we didn't find out until 2 weeks later. So I did it. I finished the match, and the tough part was the 2 weeks later. I went to Cincinnati for WWE for a tryout camp.
For a tryout.
And it was there.
With a broken collarbone.
Yeah, and I didn't, and I knew it was sore, and I was trying to fix it, and I didn't, trying to hopefully this will get better, hopefully this will get better. I flew to Cincinnati. We did, I started doing the camp. I think it was whatever, the first day or two, and then I did something where it hurt so much. They sent me to the doctors. They did an X-ray, and I still remember. So they because it was my collarbone. So it was this one that broke, but they did the X-rays of this one and this one. So after the X-rays, they take me to the doctor's office, and the doctor, he says, okay, he says, this is your left clavicle, your left collarbone. And see, here's the bone here like this, and this is how. It's okay, cool. And then he goes, and this is your right collarbone. And he puts up the other one. And so if the collarbone is like this, is one bone, it was completely broken in two and sitting like this. And so they figure, so, and I still, and I can't really, but there's right up in here, that's, because at that point it was already kind of too late, the bones were already fusing.
They were starting fusing, yeah.
Yeah, so they said there's no point in doing surgery because it's going to take more time and will do more damage. But they said because of the fact that most times when people fracture or break their collarbone, it's usually it breaks like this, or it's like a crack. But the bone broke completely in two, and it was sitting like this. So I could still, my arm was sore, but I could still move my arm. And from that point, they're like, okay, you're done for the camp. So I was there. I stayed there. They had to be in a sling and everything, and then flew back to Puerto Rico. And I think within a week or two, it was I had to fly back home because I couldn't wrestle. So if I can't wrestle, I'm not getting paid. So I had to fly back to Canada, and so that was April, May, June, July. I think I came back to Puerto Rico in August to wrestling. But that was, to kind of go back to matches, that was one of my favorites. Whoever, not your friend today, but whoever posted it like originally on YouTube, mil gracias, because I'd been looking for that match for years, because I never saw it on TV. So I had never seen the match. I just knew what had happened. So I was happy to see that. I loved working with Super Crazy. He was one of the guys I was married to. It seemed like whenever the Japanese guys would come, so like Tajiri, I wrestled with Tajiri, loved wrestling with him. Fujita
was great.
Yeah, Fujita, Makabe, Shane. Anytime I got a chance to wrestle with Shane, I loved wrestling with him. Slash Venom. I mean, I've known Slash for almost my entire.
Slash is a sweetheart.
Absolutely, he's one of my favorite people to wrestle. So many guys. Like, to me, I was like always, I'd like to think that I could have a good match with just about anybody. I had some fun times working with Anarchy. I get to program with Miguel. I didn't get to work with Savio a lot, but anytime we got to work together, it was always a lot of fun. And I remember, like, actually, I'll tell you a funny Savio story too. But there was something, and I don't know if he did it with everybody, but at least with me, there always seemed to be like a, I don't want to say like it was like mischievous or something was fun, but just for as serious as I tried to be, like that Benoit style, there was always some fun with Savio, and man, like I would have loved to have been in the ring with him more, but I enjoyed my time in the ring with him. I always kind of joke, if you watch the opening for Impacto Total, there's the first version of El Lobo Solitario, like where I had the hair and stuff. I'm taking a super kick from Savio, and I was like, man, I said, nobody takes super kicks from you better than I do. So it was, but anyways, let me tell you this quick story. And then, 1996, when I moved back to Winnipeg to start training in Winnipeg, WWF came to do a show. It was at the Winnipeg Arena, because that's where like the hockey arena, so they did the show. This was, one of my friends got tickets, and we were front row. This was the first and only time I've ever been front row for a WWF show. All the years, like, where I've got, complimentary tickets, everything, I've never been front row. This was the only time I ever got front row seats. So I'm sitting there with my buddy, and we got the guardrail in front of us. One of the matches was Steve Austin versus Savio Vega. And so they're having the match, whatever, they match spills outside. They're fighting right in front of us, right at our feet. And of course, whatever, I'm cool guy because I'm in the wrestling business now. I know the cool words. I know the kayfabe. I know, everything. So I leaned over the guardrail, and they're both right there. And I said, hey, be careful, Savio. I think Steve wants to shoot with you. Mm-hmm. And Steve Austin just turned and shot me this look like, shut up. So years later, I got to tell Savio that story. And it's, actually, now I can tell you a couple of Savio stories. But, so I'm the same thing. I'm telling Savio the story. And he of course, he comes back and he's like, man, he says, you should have stayed on that side of the guardrail. But tell the people that stuff there, and then we can go. I'll tell you another Savio, an awesome Savio story, and then we can talk about some more of the matches.
Andy me dice, ¿verdad? En sus tiempos de lucha, esa lucha con Super Crazy que el panita Juan C. González la posteó hoy. Bueno, esto va a salir más después, pero que posteó después que hablamos de Andy, que fue una gran lucha para él y un gran recuerdo. Pero es un recuerdo doloroso porque a la misma vez, para en esa lucha, cuando él se tira de la escalera, que la escalera pues se sale del lugar y no cae donde debería, pues se lesiona su clavícula derecha. ¿Qué sucede? Él cree que es una lesión, un machucón, y continúa por 2 semanas luchando, pero se tiene que ir a Estados Unidos, a Cincinnati, porque tenía un tryout con la WWE en aquel momento. Cuando está en los trainings, en el campamento, siente la molestia, lo llevan al doctor, le toman placas de las clavículas y le dicen, esta bien, y ahora esta es tu clavícula derecha. Y la clavícula derecha, el hueso, que se supone que vaya derecho, pues estaba puesto uno encima debajo del otro. Y ya se estaba fusionando el hueso. So, ya es peor, porque para arreglar algo así tú tienes que volver a romper el hueso y no es lo mejor para hacer. So, él se quedó así, de ahí él va a Puerto Rico otra vez, está lesionado, le da el break, no puede luchar, obviamente se regresa a Canadá, en lo que se recupera de su clavícula, de su lesión, y una vez se recupera, regresa a Puerto Rico. Y él me cuenta que en los tiempos antes de llegar a la isla, que le consiguieron unos tickets de primera fila para WWE en un house show, y él va con su amigo y está viendo el house show, está una lucha de Stone Cold contra Sabio en aquel momento. Y brincan la verja, ellos brincan a donde está Andy, donde está el otro, y Andy le dice a Sabio que está vendiendo, Sabio, ten cuidado que yo creo que Austin te quiere chutear. Y Austin lo mira como que, ¿qué carajo tú estás haciendo? y después él le cuenta esa historia a Sabio. Una vez ya él está aquí en Puerto Rico y Sabio le dice, pues ahora que lo sé, sabiéndolo, tú hubieses quedado en ese lado de la vela, jodiéndolo, como que diciéndole, tú eres un caifán, y jodiendo como se hacía en Puerto Rico. So Andy, you got more story, but okay. After this story, let me take a break for my sponsor quick, and we go back with that story, all right?
Okay. La Vuelta agradece a nuestros auspiciadores.
La Vuelta es traído a ustedes por Borincano 21 en eBay, Rosalind.boutique y Sammy Auto Detailing.
Well, man, this is getting good, man. People will love this shit. There's good stuff here, man. And
there's the more I think about it, I mean, there's so much stuff from the early days of IWA because I was around for everything.
You know what I would like to do, man? One day, if this is fucking pandemic still fucking us, I would like to make like IWA, like you, Shane, Savio, maybe Miguel, all the guys from at the same time, like telling the stories and just laughing about,
kind of from the beginning. Yeah, well, that's because that's even at that time. I mean, that was like, Ricky Santana was there, Fidel Sierra was there, and Shane, Savio, and all those guys. And then about like the time like when Chicky and Victor came over, and how that was such a big deal when the Star Corporation came over and all that. And man, there's just. But the other one, I was funny because talking about like Ricky, Apollo. There's even I remember the early beginnings of what the hell was his. What was he using in? Was it just Eric El Gladiador? Eric Escobar.
Eric Alexander.
Eric Alexander. Yeah, Alexander. That was it. Because even from him, I remember being in the Cancha de Volleyball in Carolina, the small one, and he was in the stands, and him being a fan.
He was in the stands with one of his friends. Now he's like
he's police officer.
Godfather of his three sons.
Yeah.
That guy that was with him. Right now, he's one of my supervisors when I work.
Yeah, I remember. And the joke with Eric, I can't remember where it came from, but the joke with him was that we were joking with him
Eric.
Eric, but he was El Vaquero, and it was like the Vaquero burger jokes. Man,
but there was a inside joke that was 1-2 Eric because he kicked out in a finish.
Yes, that sounds familiar. Yes.
1-2 Eric.
Yeah,
that was so. Andy,
yes.
Of all these stories that you can tell me because I know that you had thousands of stories in Puerto Rico. Funny ones, scary ones, good ones, not so good
most of my stories are all good ones. I mean, I didn't mess around too much. Not to say that guys did, but I mean, I was always I tried to be a nice guy.
You stood out of trouble. You were straight edge. A lot of guys in those days weren't so straight edge.
No, and I mean, I was there for the first and foremost for the wrestling because that was, I wanted to go to WWE. I wanted to go to Japan. I wanted to wrestle. That was that. But the other story I'll tell you about Savio, and I can't remember it as well. So if you talk to him though, you can say, 2 words to Savio, and I'm sure he'll start laughing because he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, one of the older school things was there used to be like a lot more like with the ribs, the jokes and all that. And there's not as much of it anymore, but still one of the early days. And I think it was in Los Pinos. I want to say it was Los Pinos. And I think it was like, I was in one room where I was like Victor's office or something. I can't remember if Savio was in the other room where he was in the building or something. But the whole thing with Victor and Savio was that they were talking to some promoter from India. And so however it worked out, the phone rang. I get this phone, I answer the phone. And I want to try and do the voice. I won't be able to do it justice. But it was like, man, I don't know how I can try to do it. But it was just this voice. Like, Savio will do it. You tell him the 2 cobras. The 2 cobras. And that was the whole thing, this whole rib, this whole joke. Was I was talking to this supposed promoter from India who wanted me to come to India. I was going to wrestle the 2 cobras. I was going to marry his daughter and all this. And I mean, I'm Canadian. I'm a nice guy. I'm like, well, I don't, I'm trying to be as nice as possible. I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. And it's like, I like the opportunity. I want to do it. Then you come to the India. You wrestle the 2 cobras. You marry my daughter, and it just went on and on. And I think like it only went so far because I didn't necessarily bite and say, okay, like, yeah, I'll do it, or no, I won't. But I came back to, let me talk to Savio, or let me talk to Victor, and da-da-da. No, you come to India, you wrestle the 2 cobras. And man, it's like, just like I said, whether we finish this and you talk to Savio, or you talk to Savio tomorrow, you talk about Andy, the 2 cobras.
But Savio was the one ribbing you?
Yes, it was, and it ended up being that Savio was the one. Like, and I found, I don't know how later I found out, but eventually I found out that Savio was the one doing the call.
He learned from the best, because back in the couple of years before,
I know who
he was with Fuji, and Fuji was a master ribber.
Yeah.
The last podcast I did, Savio told me that once Fuji went to this guy's this marriage couple.
Yeah.
The marriage couple invite Fuji to their house.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, Fuji killed and cooked their dog and feed them. And after they feed them, they ate it.
Yeah.
So it was good. Yeah, look what I got. And he brought the fucking head of the dog. Yeah, that's savage.
Oh, now in 2020, that doesn't happen. That's so much this.
No, man, that gets you in jail.
Yeah. But I remember he always talked to Uncle Harry. Uncle Harry. That was Fuji. It was Uncle Harry. And that's
of all these stories that you can give.
Yeah.
What's the best? Your best memory of Puerto Rico. What? I know you got plenty. Telling one is not doing justice to you, but
yeah.
Is there something that sticks out of all of the things that you were able to do here in the island?
No, you know what? Honestly,
one or a few.
To try and give you a few couldn't do justice. Just for that time. I love Puerto Rico. I love the people. I love the wrestling. I loved most of the food. I love the beaches. There's like, people are like, oh, they try and say something, if there's like bad or you have like bad, like I really don't, because everything is so good. There's still people that there's still people I talk to. There's still friends that I talk to that I literally have not seen in almost like 20, 15, 16, 17 years. But thankfully, through the internet, Facebook, everything, we still talk. Mm-hmm. I love, I don't drink, but I love to eat. I love the food. So if you want to talk about, the churrasco, you want to talk about the mofongo, we can go on. And I could say, oh yeah, well, there was this restaurant in in Caguas that we'd stop at that had the burritos. There was this place, this bakery, this panaderia out in Barranquitas.
The one in Caguas is with the big burritos. That was like $8, $7.
Yes.
I was talking with Moody. We were about this close to go over there last Friday.
Yeah.
And no, let's not go there. And we went to other place. But that was the place after wrestling. If you were in Ponce, Calle, Caguas, that was the place.
Yeah, anywhere in that area. Yeah, and that's, you know, for that. There was, you know, like I said, there was the bakeries. There was like even like the Pollo Tropicals. The what was the sandwich? The one that did the sandwiches. If you say the name, I'll do it. But I know they just did sandwiches. That was like their main thing. But there
was the Sullivan barbecue chicken.
Yeah, that's right. Because they were one of the sponsors, the Sullivan barbecue.
Yeah. So a lot of people back in those days in the office, you eat chicken like every fucking day.
Oh yeah, and that's the platanos, the amarillo, the yuca, the yuca, con ajo, tostones, all man, like it. Puerto Rico's got great food. The bakeries, the panaderias. I know there was like the one from Isla Verde. There was like the highway was in behind Isla Verde, and then right on the other side there was like a bakery there. I know on some certain spots of the islands. For me, because we always did TV on the Saturday nights, right? So we do our shows Thursday night. You know, Thursday would be like a medium show. Friday would be like a big show if it was. Like a Caguas. There's another town I'm trying to think of. I can't remember the name of it. But there's another one that we often did on Fridays.
Bayamon. Well, Bayamon was Saturday.
Yeah, there was
probably Calle. You can do a Calle sometimes.
If I heard it, I can picture the building and everything. I can't remember the name but there's like we had the Friday towns.
Humacao, you should have.
Humacao was a good one. Yeah. That was like that round building. That was always good. The crowd was always good in Humacao. Saturday was almost like always like the Bayamon. And then because we did the TV this Saturday, so the Sunday was usually for me was kind of like my cheat day for eating. And if we were Sunday shows were usually the other side of the island. And there was always getting the pinchos, the chicken, the pinchos, the pinchos with the bread. And there was always a lot of good bakeries. Like if it was like Rincon, Barranquitas, some of those towns like there. Like the food, like man, the food. And then, you know, and it's the same thing with the people, because for me, like I like to think I'm a nice guy. So most of the time the people around me are nice people. So, you know, if we get invited to somebody's house, if we're going out to an event and the people, you know, they're friendly, they're kind, you know, you try to speak. You know, to this day, I can probably speak more Spanish. I've probably forgotten more Spanish than Shane knows. But that was always just to be a joke. Oh,
Shane knows, but that asshole, he always liked to speak in English, but he knows Spanish.
He's got the kayfabe Spanish.
Hey, I did the podcast with him like a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
and you have spoke more Spanish than him in this podcast right now.
And it's solamente un poquito español. But
where do you learn your Spanish? It was here or Mexico?
Both, because I didn't. Yeah, it was Mexico. See, and that was one of the things I learned with Mexico and Puerto Rico. And I could go to story for this one. Is, you know, for me, like not really familiar. You know, you just know Spanish. You don't know that there's different. You know, that there's like Puerto Rican Spanish, Mexican Spanish, Ecuador, wherever, just, you know. So I remember even, you know, I talked about that first time in Mexico with Ricky, and that's where I was learning Spanish. I had a notebook, so I was writing down, like, especially like all the rest, like the moves and all that. Like I had
the lingo of the wrestling,
everything like the mantequilla, brinca, bajo, you know, codazo, you know, everything. That was where I first learned that. But I still remember there was like one time we're on the street, and there was, you know, several of us, a couple of the Mexican guys, and there was like Destroyer and Ricky and me. And so Ricky's talking to these guys in Spanish, da 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 da. And then if we were like by the hotel or something, and then it's like he left, and I remember the Mexican guys like, we don't know what the hell he just said. And it's like, what? I was like, yeah, like, dude, he's speaking the Puerto Rican Spanish. Like, we don't know what the hell he's talking about. So that's where I got to learn, you know, that there's difference between the Mexican and the Puerto Rican. And then in Puerto Rico, it was a similar thing where just being around, if you're hanging around the offices or wherever you are, like people are speaking Spanish. You watch TV, you pick little bits up. You go to the movies, there's the subtitles. You pick little bits up. And I remember we used to do the Show a las 12.
Show de las 12.
Yeah, where we would go on the Fridays or whatever. There'd usually be a group of us, and we go, and I think Eddie, that was his
and
name,
do
right?
some promo for the big shows.
Yeah. Este fin de semana, viernes estamos en Humacao a las 8:30 de la noche, la lucha estelar. Ricky Banderas enfrenta a Lobo, Andy Anderson, tremendo. De sábado, toda la gente estamos en gran cartelera, con todas las luchas, con todas las estrellas, y el domingo, and that would be the thing. And
yeah.
I remember going where at first there'd be 5 or 6 of us that would go, and one person would be, kind of the spokesperson. We'd all just kind of sit there and whatever.
And make faces.
Yeah. and I know in time, there'd be times where, like Savio, Victor, whoever would be like, hey, it's Thursday afternoon or whatever, Thursday morning. Can you go do TV? Go do the show. Yeah, no problem. And that's when I could go by myself. I did it a couple times, and that's what I would do. It just, okay,
And that gets you more over with the people, because they somehow, some way, they like the accents. Shane, get over with that shit with salsa, huchiku, merengue, rap.
Bienvenidos a Chit Chat with the Champ.
With the shit.
Yeah,
so
the cafe con leche.
When they see the outsider guy, or the gringo, because you're not gringo because you're from Canada, but if you are white and come from and speak English, you're gringo for us.
Yeah.
So for a gringo to speak the language and try to communicate and everybody can appreciate it and understand it, and that gets you over with the people, because they see you that you're making the struggle, and you're making the effort speak the language and to communicate with all of us. And that's why people respect that here a lot. And you were one of those guys alongside with Shane, and maybe a lot of more. Bison was one of them. That was another fucker that he knew Spanish, but he stood up for himself. Sometimes he give you like a mamá bicho cabrón.
But we learned the first thing we learned is how to say, I'm sorry, donde está el baño, and then all the bad words. And that was the same thing in Mexico. I remember Mexico, even before I was learning the moves and stuff, was like mira, like, cabrón, yo soy su padre, and all,
Exacto.
And,
But bro, well, let me say, because we were talking about Andy ha contado historias, muchas de las de él en Puerto Rico. La comida de Puerto Rico es una de sus favoritas: el churrasco, el mofongo, los tostones, el arroz con yuca, el pollo, todas estas cuestiones. La lucha libre le encanta, la isla le encanta. Yo lo puse en 3 y 2, que es lo mejor que te gustó de Puerto Rico, pero mencionar una cosa para él sería injusto, de tantos momentos buenos que tuvo dentro de la lucha libre en Puerto Rico y fuera de la lucha libre en Puerto Rico, con toda la gente que conoció, gente buena, que muy amigable, como somos la mayoría de los puertorriqueños, y gozó mucho de todo esto aquí. El español, pues lo aprendió tanto en México, en el tiempo que estuvo, como en Puerto Rico. De una de las anécdotas que cuenta, Ricky se pone a hablar con mexicanos en México, y ellos ven a decir que nadie lo entendió, porque el español de Puerto Rico no es tan parecido al español mexicano, aunque sí nos podemos entender, pero yo entiendo lo que él dice, y es bien cierto. El español de nosotros tiene palabras que muchos de ellos van a decir, ¿qué diablo dijo este pinche culero de mierda? Pero aparte de todo esto, pues, ¿verdad? Andy tiene un respeto grande por la cultura latina y por la puertorriqueña en especial, que vivió 3 años y medio aquí con nosotros. So Andy, after your stay in the island ends and you go back to your country, you kept on wrestling in other places. I think you went to Ring of Honor, right?
Ring of Honor was still before. That was kind of towards the tail end of Puerto Rico.
All right.
So I was still doing that, but I did that after my run with Puerto Rico finished. Bushwhacker Luke helped get me booked in England. So I went to wrestle in England for 3 months, and that was awesome. Like we wrestled like five nights a week. You know, we were doing show just all over. So that was really good.
And that type of wrestling is pretty nice too. You know, that it's like a.
It was, but at that point, there was already more American TV coming into to the. So, you know, you're thinking of like the technical wrestling, the scientific wrestling, catch as catch can. The guys there, the girls there, they were getting away from that, and they were going more towards the American style.
The American style.
Just, you know, they're because you're watching the Monday Night Raw, you're watching the Monday Nitro, and all that in the ECW, and they're seeing that, so they were getting more to that style. So
more Americanized.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I did that for a while. That was kind of through 2003, 2004. I was doing some stuff in Canada. I got brought back to Puerto Rico for a few weeks, did some shows, and then in August 2004, it says an accident, but I was on a water slide on a tube, and going around a corner, I flipped right off the tube, and I banged my head against the water slide. It actually knocked me out for, I guess, basically to the bottom. Like I slid the rest of the way, and then I was out. But then when I hit the water, I kind of came back to, and I got out of the pool, and my friend that I was with and the lifeguard, they're like, "Hey, we heard a big bang. Are you okay?" And of course, tough guy. Oh yeah, like, no, I'm fine. Meanwhile, like my head's like this and whatever. So I went the rest of the day. The next day, I had to go to the hospital because my head was hurting so bad. At that time, we didn't know as much about concussions and head injuries like we do now.
But you had a concussion.
Oh yeah, and it was it was major. It was bad. And my doctor basically said, like, "Hey, you should stop wrestling." So at that time was like, okay, there wasn't really much going on, so it's like, yeah, better stop. And then so I did that for about 4 years. In 2008, I got approached. The guy that trained me, Vance Nevada, we talked about earlier, he knew some guys that were running some shows here in Alberta, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to do some shows? Just real easy stuff, nothing too crazy, just kind of like the old school walk and talk." And so I started doing that, and then that's kind of, I would do a couple shows a year from about 2008 to 2012, I think it was. And
then, like a part-time wrestler, but in those days.
Yeah, very, very part-time, like very, like maybe like 3 or 4 shows a year kind of thing, like nothing. Right. 2012, I believe it was. There's one of the longest running promotions here out of Edmonton, Alberta, is the PWA, the Prairie Wrestling Association. And it's been around. Actually, this year was the 19th anniversary show was supposed to be in March, but got canceled because of the coronavirus. Right. So it's been around like almost like 20 years. So the promoter there, his name's Kurt Sorokin. We had a mutual friend, so we got put in touch with each other, and we talked, and it's like, "Hey, like, I'd like to bring you on. I'd like to do some stuff." We realized, I'm going to take care of my body. That I'm not going to do, like how when I used to wrestle in Puerto Rico. Like, yeah, no problem. Okay. And so we did that, and we run usually 2 shows a month, 1 show in Edmonton, Alberta, 1 show Calgary, Alberta. And pretty much from that point on, that's what I've been doing up until now. Like we did our last show before the virus was in February, and I've been a heel. So in Rudo, I'd say I'm probably one of the most hated heels. And I can also say, I think to this point, I've managed to change, you know, in a way like, you know, like Chris Jericho. I mean, and not to put myself and say, oh yeah, I'm like Chris Jericho, I'm like the Undertaker, but in that similar idea where I've been able to change the character, evolve the character, so that this entire time I've been, I think, the only guy that's ever been just a heel. You know, at some point, most people, they go babyface heel or whatever, but I've managed to stay strong. Like, I'll say strong. I've managed to maintain the Andy Anderson character as a heel.
Hey,
heel
is good.
It's the best. I mean, for what I've been able to do.
The most fun that you can have as a wrestler,
absolutely,
I think, for me, is as a heel, and all said, good guy goes to the sky. Bad guys go wherever the fuck they want.
You look at it that way, but I always tell people, say, look, I said, it's like, you know, if a babyface is the dragon slayer and I'm the dragon, you need to be the biggest, baddest, nastiest dragon, so that when that dragon slayer finally gets you, the whole world is, you know.
Whoa, yeah.
Exactly. And I've been, and I specifically want to say this, and I can let you translate after, but I've been very fortunate because of being, you know, a veteran and whatnot. I've been able to, over my time with PWA, I've been able to be a part of the booking committee and, you know, help book stuff. And I've also been very fortunate enough to get a lot of freedom in what I want to do for storyline wise, promos, you know, my character, everything. I'm very grateful for that. But there's
you pay your dues in this business, so
yes,
and you get those pass.
And a lot of the ideas, the psychology, the mindset comes from my time in Puerto Rico. From being around Dutch, from being around Luke, from being around Savio, you know, those three guys, and to get the idea, you know, kind of how they book stuff, the psychology of stuff. There's things that I've done that have worked well. There's ideas that I've had that unfortunately didn't come out, but it would have been, if they had come out, I could be telling you right now and say, okay, we did this angle. This is similar to this in Puerto Rico back in 2001 kind of thing. Like, I got to be commissioner, and I had ideas of kind of how I wanted things, kind of like how when Savio had his stable, you know, a mi manera por la calle.
La compañía.
La compañía, exactly. And there's at one point we're trying to put a group of us together, and I wanted to call them the Untouchables, you know, just like Los Intocables. Before they, you know, there's Intocables Japan and all that. Like, it was so, you know, and that's just me, because it was good stuff. It was good material. It left an impression on me. It worked with those people. I knew it would work with this crowd if we got to do it. And that's just part of me paying respect to, you know, my time in Puerto Rico. And again, like, specific, you know, especially with like Dutch and Luke and Sabio.
Como me dice Andy, en todo este tiempo después de Puerto Rico, pues sí tuvo sus shows. Y una de las oportunidades grandes que tuvo después de Puerto Rico, después de sus 3 años y medio en la isla, pues Luis le consiguió un spot para luchar en Inglaterra. Inglaterra, para ese tiempo, la lucha libre se estaba americanizando un poco más. No era el estilo clásico de Inglaterra que uno está acostumbrado a ver a los tiempos, o como por dar un ejemplo, William Regal o Robbie Brookside, que son dos luchadores de Inglaterra muy buenos. Pero en ese tiempo en Inglaterra la pasó muy bien, conoció mucha gente, aprendió también cosas nuevas, como todo luchador debe hacer cada vez que va a un lugar nuevo, es aprender cosas que le sirvan para ser mejores en lo que hacen. Y después de un tiempo, pues vuelve a Canadá, está luchando en Canadá y ha estado luchando por mucho tiempo de manera esporádica o part-time con la PWA de Canadá, que es una compañía bastante sólida que está ahora mismo allá. Y lo bueno de todo esto que Andy pues ha tenido la oportunidad también de pertenecer al comité del booking o a tener el libro, como decimos aquí, de los bookers. Y tiene esa libertad, también le han dado esa libertad por ser el veterano que es, la trayectoria que tiene, de poder hacer las cosas que él quiere hacer. Ahora mismo es un rudo bien odiado. y dentro de las cosas que él pone en su personaje y las cosas que pone, las cosas que puede buquear, tiene muchos elementos de lo que aprendió aquí en Puerto Rico con un Dutch Mantel, con un Sabio Vega, con un Luke Williams, que son leyendas de este negocio, que han hecho de todo, han estado en muchos lugares y están más que probados. Y en esa parte, pues él se siente muy cómodo en eso, haciendo ese rol. Tenía unos shows próximamente, pero como a todo el mundo le ha pasado, el coronavirus, pues ha detenido todo por el momento. Hay que ser responsables con esto. So, vamos a continuar con Andy haciéndole unas cuantas más preguntas para dejarlo quieto ya, que ya lo llevo jodiendo hace rato. So, brother, you had a stroke, ¿verdad? A couple of years ago.
Yeah,
you had a heart attack.
Yeah, almost. It'll be five years ago, I guess.
Serious?
Yeah.
It was, it was serious. Wow. We saw the scar because we have been in social media for years.
Yeah.
We don't talk much, but we always, always keep an eye. And I saw that. I think I wrote you like, I hope you're okay. But
yeah,
how was that? You were wrestling on those days. You were in your house. How that happened to you, man?
So there's not really any scars, and thankfully, the gracias a Dios, I'm still here. I'm good. Pretty strong. So it was the end of August 2015. It was a Saturday night. I was wrestling in a tag team match for PWA. We did the show. I did the match, whatever. After the match, I'm backstage, and it's like I start to get like a pain in my chest, and I get pain down this arm. I get pain down this arm, and it's like what the heck? Like the pain in my chest. It felt like if you ever pulled it. I think we've all pulled muscles. So if you ever pulled a muscle, that's kind of. I thought
it's like a burn and sting at the same time.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, and in my head, I'm going through the match, and I know there was at one point where I took a clothesline over the top rope. So like this, you take the clothesline, you go over the top. I thought, okay, maybe I pulled something, and that was it. My arms. What I tell people was if you ever have like a sneeze where you sneeze so hard your whole body hurts, you just ache. Like sometimes, like maybe if you tienes alergia or something, allergy, you sneeze really hard, it's like achy. That's how my arms were, and that's how my chest was. And we were close to the end of the, I don't know if we were like right before intermission or something, but we were close to the end of the show, so I wasn't backstage for too long, but the pain was there. And just okay, whatever. One of my closest friends he's head of audio, so he does he has the music, he does all the videos and stuff. Big Bad Boris. So he and I, a lot of times after the shows, we'd go out to eat and just talk about the show. And so we went out. We're sitting in a restaurant. I'm sitting there. I'm telling him like, man, like my chest hurts and this and. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I probably just pulled something. I don't know. It just hurts. Whatever. Go home, go to bed, wake up. It's Sunday. No pain, nothing. Okay, cool. So go through Sunday, no problem. Go to sleep, wake up Monday, no pain. So I go to work. At the time, I was an assistant fitness manager at a gym, gimnasio. So I went in, I go to work, no problem. Lunchtime comes, okay, yo quiero entrenando. I want to train, but just, suave, easy, because I don't want to, if I pulled something, suave. So I do just light workout, machines, easy. Towards the end of the workout, I start to get the pain again. I was like, what the hell? Like, I didn't really do anything to work my chest too hard. And so I lay down on one of the mats. I'm laying there. I'm like, okay, I don't have any appointments scheduled for this afternoon. I only lived about 10 minutes away from the gym. Maybe I'll go home, I'll lay down, and I'll come back to work. So, okay, I'm gonna tell the people I'm going home for a bit. So I go home, I lay down, I'm on the bed, and it's hurting, and I'm like, what if this is something serious? Just what if? So I'm like, okay. here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the hospital because fortunately the hospital was also close to the gym. So, the gym is here. The hospital is just down the street. I'm about 10 minutes away. Everything's close. So I'm going to go to the hospital. I'll go into emergency. I'll tell them what's going on. And we all know the hospitals are the same everywhere. They say, okay, go sit in the waiting room and you wait for como 3 horas, 4 horas, whatever. So they tell me, if they say, okay, go wait, I know it's not serious, I'll go back to work. So I go to the hospital. On the door, there's a sign, if you have chest pain or head pain, tell them. So I said, okay, I'm here. I have this pain in my chest. I think I pulled a muscle. Here I am. So it took me 15 minutes, about 15 minutes, 15 minutos. They took me in. They hook me up. They do the EKG. The male nurse, chest is sore, everything, arms are sore. And so he does the readings and he says to me, okay, I'll go give this to the doctors, show this to the doctors. You stay here, but we'll probably put you in the waiting room when we're done. So I'm like, okay, no problem. So he goes away, and already in my head, because he says we'll put you in the waiting room, I'm thinking it's going to be fine. I'm going back to work. I probably just pulled a muscle. 5 minutos. Nada más. 5 minutes. They come back, pull the curtain. I 5 doctors and the nurse. And they're all looking at me and they go, okay, they're very calm, but like, we're pretty sure you're having a heart attack right now. So we're going to, take you in. And so they take me in, they hook me up, and they went through, and it's like, it's how do you feel? Like this, that, have you told your wife? I'm like, no, nothing. I don't want to tell her she's pregnant. I don't want her to be, upset and get stressed. And so finally they say, okay, well, we have to send you to the university hospital, one of the, main hospitals, because they have to put in the stents. And the nurse is saying to me, she's like, have you told your wife yet? Again. And I'm like, no, I don't want to tell her. And she's like, no, you need to tell her because this is serious. So at that point I broke down. I started to cry. I don't know what the hell's going on. So I'm like, okay, here, can you please call? So they called her. She gets to the hospital just as they're wheeling me on the gurney to take me to the ambulance. So they tell her what's going on. They put me in the ambulance. They got the sirens going, everything. We're going, bien cabrón, and to the next hospital. They take me right in. So I had 3 blockages, 60%, 70%, and 100%. So the whole lower part of my heart wasn't getting any blood, and then I had these other 2 blockages. So they put in 2 stents. Yeah, so they put in the 2 stents. And I was lucky. So they told us afterwards that the nickname, I don't know what the proper, I can't remember what the proper name for whatever style of heart attack it was, kill people. But they said that the EMTs, like all the guys in the ambulance, the emergency technicians, they call it the widowmaker, because usually if you have it, like, you don't make it. Wow. And they said that if I didn't come to the hospital, if I had stayed home, if I had gone to sleep,
something
that
will happen.
Yeah.
We won't be here.
We wouldn't be here. I would have died. So that was wow. Yeah. And
you had your surgery, right?
Yeah.
You had your surgery.
Yeah.
You're good. The thing that amazes me about all this.
Yeah.
Because right now, I see you like every day you post.
Yeah,
with
the gym stuff.
Your gym stuff, but with your daughter.
Yeah.
And dude, you had the heart attack, you had surgery, and now you're stronger than ever.
Oh,
fuck.
I don't know about stronger than ever. I will tell you, it's been a very rough ride. Even before the heart attack, I had, there's, mental health. I don't talk about it very much, but a lot of mental health issues with depression and stuff. And the heart attack really, triggered that. It was tough. Like I didn't, even when they said you can go back to the gym, you can start working out, I didn't.
Yeah, you were like
Yeah,
it wasn't secure about yourself.
It wasn't even no. It was, yeah, it was just man. Like it was depressed. It was tough. I've gone through a lot, like mentally, emotionally. So when and like I said, it'll be 5 years this coming August that it happened, and I'm from where I was. I'm a lot better off. I'm much better. Physically, yeah, from the neck down, I can tell you I'm, in the gym and stuff, I'm stronger, stronger now than I was when I was wrestling, like in Puerto Rico. Like
I can tell. I'm not blind, bro. I know what I see. That's what I'm telling you, bro.
So when you say that, like, I mean, I like sincerely, like, gracias, like, mil gracias, like, thank you, because it's, you see the outside, you see the videos, and there's still a lot of stuff. So.
Hey man, we struggle.
Exactly.
Like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, at Throwback Thursday, I put a match of me in IWA. I was skinny. If people see me, think that I got drug problems. Well, in those days, I used to have drug problems. Yeah. But I was my worst depression. I was in a hospital a couple weeks after that match. I was a mess.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know what is walking through hell, and the mind is so strong, but at the same time it's so weak and can play tricks on you, and it's hard. It's a constant battle.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So absolutely. I understand you after your heart attack, your surgery. That the same happened to me after my surgery on my knee to play basketball again. I was like scared of everything. Like, no, what is happening again? I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah. So I understand you, and the thing is, keeping the mind strong, keep yourself surrounded with positive people,
absolutely,
and the right people.
Yeah,
that they want to see you do better and get better. That's the type of persons and people that you need around yourself.
Absolutely.
And man, I admire you, because after a heart attack, the surgery, you've been hitting the weights, and every time I see you, this fucking Lobo is getting stronger. He's getting older, was getting stronger and bigger. What the hell is that? Give me a fucking secret, man, because I'm 40 and I feel like 75 right now.
Oh, but I tell you, I joke. I say I'm finally getting to that age where I'm allowed to have the old man strength. I think that's what's coming. But, you talk about feeling 75, and that's the other thing I joke about too is, like I walk around like, oh, like this is sore. I say I'm like Yoda. So I say, anybody that watches Star Wars, they see all Star Wars. I'm like Yoda. I move real slow, but if you remember Attack of the Clones, the second one, that's the first time we see him where he comes and he's like doing like all the high spots, flipping around and fighting.
Yeah.
That's how I am. I walk like this. I'm like, oh, sore. But if I go to do some wrestling, or if I go into the gym, then I'm like Yoda in Attack of the Clones. Then I'm like doing all my stuff, da 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 da. But then as soon as it's over, I go back to this, my back, my neck, my shoulders.
Stronger I am. Old as fuck I feel.
Yeah. Many miles it is.
Yo, bro. Man, I see a lot of things that you do on the gym that are impressive, and I respect that. I want to go training again, because I retired from wrestling. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of booking with Moody. Moody and me, we're awesome, become like a tag team booking here in the island. We have success, but the thing is that Moody and me, you knew Moody.
Absolutely.
He's honest.
I could talk about you. He's another one I could talk about when Moody first came in. I remember Moody first coming in and trying to do stuff and getting frustrated with everybody because he wanted to do stuff a certain way and this and that.
Yeah.
From that time frame of about 1999 to 2003, anybody new that came through, I saw them. If they were a wrestler, chances are I was in the ring with them, because Savio, those guys, they put me in the ring with everybody that was new.
So, Moody and me right now, Moody's honest. He's honest and he's passionate about it. So I'm like that. And for the last, I think, 4 years, we have booked in the 3 top companies two top companies in the island. Back in the last year in the IWA tour, we wrote your name in the list of the people we wanted to go to come to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And that's blame it on fucking Tonos and Savio. Yeah, it's good, but he lives in Canada. The tickets is expensive. Fuck! I don't, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good because
I've had a few people
if we're gonna remember 20 years of IWA, and how the fuck you're gonna forget the Lobo? The first Lobo I knew in Puerto Rican wrestling, Andy Anderson. Right now we got a good one, Mecha Wolf.
Mecha Wolf, yeah.
He's doing great in Mexico, United States.
He's retired. Didn't he retire though, or is he going to play in a band or something?
He announced his retirement this year. At the end of this year, he's retiring. Okay. He's going to start his band.
Okay.
So you got the Mecha Wolf, you got the Lobo.
Yeah.
But none of them are the real one. The real Lobo.
Primero.
El primer Lobo de Puerto Rico.
Exactly.
Que es fucking Andy Anderson. O Andy Lewis, como AKA Andy Lewis. But where Anderson came from?
Andy Anderson, when I started wrestling in Tennessee, I was working for a company called Music City Wrestling, based out of Nashville. And when I first started wrestling, my very first wrestling name was JT Atlas, and that was given to me. So the JT was because there wasn't too many guys around that had like names like with initials, like the JT or whatever. And then Atlas because I had a pretty good build. I was smaller and young, but pretty good build. So it was like JT Atlas. When I started working more of a full time in Tennessee for Music City Wrestling, Bert Prentice, he didn't really like the name JT Atlas. He's like, what the hell is JT Atlas? I don't know. This is how, whatever. Call me whatever you really want to call me. And like I said, like I didn't have I was okay with having Andy as part of the name, but I wanted, the separation. I didn't want to have my real name. I wanted it separate. And so I think for the first few shows, he called me Andy Andrews, which is just horrible. Andy and horrible. To me, it's almost like Archie Andrews, like from the comic. But then afterwards, they decided like, okay, well, maybe we'll call you Andy Anderson. So it's like almost like you're kind of like a distant cousin or a relative to like Ole Anderson and Arn Anderson, and you're part of the and because I was a bit more of a serious kind of that serious type. So we'll make you an Anderson. I'm like, cool, and that's Andy Anderson. The El Lobo, so that first time I went to Mexico in like 98 there. No, it was 98.
98?
98. The first time, like with Ricky and Destroyer, they gave me the gimmick El Lobo Blanco. And I know I've got a few pictures kicking around, but the outfit they gave me, I joke about, is I look like a white Chewbacca. It was like the black, like the black tights, but then I had like a big thing of fur here. I had the fur going down the legs. The mask was like the closest thing is a Chewbacca mask, and I had the stuff on here.
Albino Chewbacca.
Yeah, exactly, pretty much. So I had that, and then for the 2 months I was there, 2 months and a bit, whatever. At the end, we did an angle with Pantera del Ring, and so we did like the Máscara contra Máscara. And so I lost my mask to him. And then so that was 98. So in 99, Victor sent me back to Mexico again for a longer stint. And I went back and I was kind of like El Lobo Blanco, El Lobo, but like Sin Máscara. So then Puerto Rico, I can't remember, I'm going to say, I'll give Savio credit. I can't remember exactly whose idea. It might have been Savio. It might have been Ricky Santana, one of those guys, about the idea of doing El Lobo Solitario. And together we kind of came up with the idea of like, okay, like using the contact lenses, because not many people at that time were using like the
white contact lens.
Yeah, the contact lenses. And then I did, the bleaching of the hair and all that stuff to
grow the beard.
The beard, and they said because like that look will stand out, like nobody else has that look, and and you're El Lobo Solitario. So
you look good, but the gimmick was good. Look good.
Yeah, and I mean, and to walk, I mean, and that's how I did my hair. So it's not like the show was over and I could like take a wig off or something, right? Like I could take the eyes out.
That's you. Just so you take the lens and that's it.
I'm walking around like Plaza Carolina or wherever, and people see it like mira luchador, like
Arriba El Lobo.
Arriba El Lobo. So there was the Lobo Solitario, and then eventually because I think somewhere there, that's when I started tagging with Visago, and we were doing like Sons of Sin, Los Hijos del Pecado, and so I mean, like, how the hell are you supposed to be a Lobo Solitario when you're in a tag team, right?
Yeah,
so
you're
it
just became, a wolf.
Yeah, exactly. Mira, El Lobo, whatever. Right. But like even Axel Cruz, anytime every time you'll be at a show, Arriba El Lobo,
that's classic. That's classic.
And that's so going forward. So like wherever I went, there was pretty much always the Andy Anderson was there, and then it was always somehow like El Lobo, the wolf. When I wrestled here in Canada, these past like 8-9 years, it's funny because we joke like, I mean, I could say like, oh, like the wolf. But I'm like, I always tell people, it always sounds more badass, como El Lobo, like the wolf. Okay, that's cool, but El Lobo, Andy Anderson, like that's. So, I would be the wolf. It was like I was the lone wolf. I was the alpha wolf. There's always some wolf. There's always some Andy Anderson.
But man,
let me tell you this because you're going to get a kick out of this one. I don't know if you ever saw this. Because we talked about the Iron Sheik. So the Sheiky baby. And it was the same thing. Like for me, a fan from way back. I got a picture of him at a WWE show like when I was like 14 or 15 years old. When we brought him here, PWA in 2014, to get the picture to hang with him, talk with him. But one of the things at that time, because there was so much Sheiky on Twitter, and he was doing all the Howard Stern stuff, and there was so I would always do like Sheiky baby #1, intelligent. All my intelligent wrestling fans in the Puerto Rico, everybody know Iron Sheik, #1 wrestler. I trained the Carlos Colon. I trained the Savio Vega. I am the #1 Puerto Rican champion. Everybody know, yeah. And so, I would do this backstage for the boys, and we get a kick out of it. And then we had Sheik come in. I actually got to do that for the Sheik. He loved it. He loved it. He was laughing. So we in the PWA we had Sheik Akbar Shabazz. So we had a Sheik already. And we decided at one point that we were gonna put me, with him to kind of help him a bit. And so I did the Sheik character. And you can hold on because this is a long one. My name was Ayatollah Adnan Al-Waziri Anderson. And I had the head thing. I did everything. Like this. I would do this. All my promos, all the promo I talk about. PWA #1 intelligent Mr. Anderson, #1 wrestler. Everybody else, ha, pooh. And I even do the end of the cameraman, zoom me. And the whole thing.
Oh man, that's gold.
So that was like the only like little chunk of time, probably in the last however many years, where I wasn't exactly Andy Anderson or some wolf.
Well, you were having fun.
Oh, buddy, it was. But do the camel clutch, everything. So it was.
We don't want no chabroni here in our stable.
All of it. I even had because I'm very fortunate. I've got some friends in different places that are like in radio, and one of them through this time, he actually got me to do the Iron Sheik on the radio station right around the Iron Sheik's birthday. So he did the whole, we got the Iron Sheik. He's going to be here for his birthday. I come on, I talk to him, I say his name wrong. We talk everybody. We talk about the Ultimate Warrior. We talk about the Hollywood Blonde Jabroni, Hulk Hogan. We talk about everybody. We also talk about my boss, the Kennedy McMahon, because everybody know Kennedy McMahon, WWE #1 promotion all the world. The Mr. Kurt Angle, new school. The old school is the Khosrow Vaziri, the Dan Gable. Everybody know. Yeah. Give me hell yeah.
Great, bro. Oh, fuck yeah. I'll buy the gimmick, bro. It's awesome. Man, it's been so fun and so honored to talk to you, man. And you can talk to our crowd here in the island. And not only in the island, you know, a lot of people see us in the United States, in Spain, in Canada. We're the fucking #1 Spanish podcast of wrestling in Sweden, man. I don't know how the fuck, but
whatever, doesn't matter.
I'm over JR fucking podcast and Jericho's podcast. #1,
the other one I
spit in the other podcast.
Exactly.
I'm the best. Jabronis, bro. It's been so much fun. I hope we can do it again.
Absolutely.
I know people will have a lot of fun with this. They'll fit with this with these stories that you just gave us. Man, I'm so happy to meet you as a person, because a lot of people, not just me, a lot of wrestlers and a lot of fans that have met you in your times here in the islands, they always say the same thing. He was a classy guy. He was a friendly guy. He was great to be around. He was always accessible to everybody, and that's how I remember you. And I'm glad that the most of the fan base here in the island remembers you like that. And we love you here a lot. If you sometime you got time to go with your family on vacation to the island, please let us know.
Absolutely.
To make it a little bit better for you, and you know, we wish you the best, bro, and keep working out, man. You're a beast. I respect you for that. After a heart attack like that, you just became stronger, better, faster. You're the $6 million man.
I don't know about all that. I don't know about the faster and all that
faster,
stuff.
yeah.
Stronger. Let's just say stronger.
Yeah. Let's say stronger. A stronger version of the Lobo.
Yes.
And man, we always wish you the best. I'll see your post with your daughter. You're in love with your daughter. It's a great pictures, great videos. Keep on doing the great work.
Thank you.
And man, as a friend, as an amigo, te deseo lo mejor desde acá, desde Puerto Rico. Where the people can find you in social media, they want to talk to you. After that, I want you to tell them the Puerto Rican people are great in your words in Spanish.
Don't worry, I got it. I don't know how much I can do in Spanish, because
you're going to cut the promo to the people of Puerto Rico before we end this. But
absolutely,
where can find your social media first?
For me, so I'm on Facebook, and there's a lot of stuff that you talk about. My own, my personal, I have an Andy Anderson Facebook account, but I'll be honest, I haven't touched it in a few years. So if anybody's, they found me, like Andy Anderson, and the friend request is like, oh, ¿qué pasó? How come he's not, I honestly, I don't even remember the password to that one. I haven't touched it in years, so I'm sorry. My account for me, because I post a lot with my daughters, it's a bit more más privado. So that's,
leave it like that.
And I saw even today when you put the post saying, we're going to talk to, Andy, and that's what I'm getting, like friend request. I'm like, I appreciate it, but chances are I'm not going to accept a lot of them, just because, and
we understand it. We understand
it. Con todo respeto a todo.
Fair enough, bro. Fair enough.
On Instagram, I post there. And that's more like where it's just like more the training. I post like the videos and stuff. It's I'm that guy, TCB247. So the letters IM THATGUY TCB 247. And that's
right.
That's that's public. So it's not like I have to accept it. So you can check it whenever you want.
We'll put it here on the podcast, so
sure.
People can follow you on the gram.
Yeah, and if you message there, chances are I'll as long as it's a nice message or something, I'll respond to that for sure. I post pictures like with the Throwback Thursday. I do a lot of the wrestling stuff on there. So
Great.
That's pretty much it. On Twitter, at Andy Anderson PWA.
Andy Anderson PWA en Twitter, a la gente que lo quiera buscar.
Yeah.
Es la compañía para que Andy Anderson trabaja y hace buenos trabajos allá, así que verifiquen esa compañía en Canadá y verifiquen eso. So Andy,
yes.
we need a goodbye promo from the Lobo, but we need 100% in Spanish, bro, at least.
Dude, it's funny because for as much, I can try, but let me go English first, and if I can try and figure out some of it along the way, just because this is una oportunidad muy importante para mí, porque tengo un montón de memorias de buenas, especiales de Puerto Rico, de la isla, la gente, oro. Yeah, I'm trying to be done Spanish now. Todo el tiempo ahí fue buena, fue bien cabrón. Me encanta todo. Como yo dijo más temprano, la gente, la lucha libre,
the food, the
comida, las mujeres, la playa, todo. Mi tiempo en Puerto Rico, como 3 años y medio, fue uno de los mejores tiempos en toda mi vida. No solo para la lucha libre, pero para mí personal, sí. Como todo la amistad, the friends, en la lucha libre, fuera de la lucha libre. I feel this. I'll say it in English. One of those things where it's almost like I kind of wish, like, man, like if we do, like, how you do those things where it's like, okay, I'll give you a name. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Because there's so many people that that I crossed paths with in Puerto Rico, and there's very few people where I would have anything bad to say. And we can list off and there's even like people that it's like, man, like, oh, I wish I could have dropped their name. I wish I could have said their name. And like gracias, thank you. Like, this person helped me with this person was this. Just so much goodness for IWA, for Lucha Libre in Puerto Rico, por su familia, por Victor Quiñones, por todo. And I can nunca puedo decir gracias bastante, porque, si tú dices a mí Puerto Rico, tengo una sonrisa. O Lucha Libre Puerto Rico, IWA, sonrisa. If you list off the names, smile. So, toda la gente, I know you say people from all over the world watch, but this is for the people, especially Puerto Rico, especially the wrestling fans. Gracias, te amo mucho. Gracias.
Yeah, man, that was beautiful. Thank you for that. And man, I hope to later on, if I have the chance to get a couple of the guys of those days together in a podcast like this, it would be awesome, because we'll trade and share different stories, and we will have a lot of fucking fun.
Even if you only get 1 or 2 or whatever, or if you want to do another one with just like random, we could talk beforehand and say, okay, like, let's go through and figure out some stuff.
Let's pick some topics on this podcast.
And tell you what to talk about, and we can.
That would be great.
Some new guys, we talk about the beginning of Apollo, Banderas, Eric, Anarchy, those guys when they first came in, and whatever, man. Like, there's
the good days, man.
Absolutely.
Andy, from the bottom of my heart, man, thank you so much for sharing this time with me and sharing these great stories with the fans. Like I told you, man, and like you saw in the post, People love you. People still care about you. They're still thinking about you. They haven't forgot about you. And you got a great place in Puerto Rican wrestling history and Puerto Rican people that you have crossed paths during those 3.5 years you was here. And man, we love you. We wish you the best for you, your family, your daughter. Keep on training, keep on kicking ass, keep on getting bigger, stronger. I want to see that 1,000 pounds tire flip.
Oh, dude, I did it once last year, so I know I can do it. So I'll do it again. So it's gonna happen.
So I want to see that, and man, from the bottom of my heart, man, thank you so much. Not for being a great guy, for all that you have done in Puerto Rico and all the lives that you have touched when you were here in the island. So you're a class act, a great guy, man, and we love you, we respect you, and we wish you the best from here my producer here in the podcast, me, and I think that all of my fans here and all the people in the Puerto Rico wish you the best. Thanks. In the coronavirus.
Same to you. I know the last couple of years, whatever, Puerto Rico has gone through a lot.
Yeah,
and so I get to talk firsthand, and man, so toda la gente, like, I don't con fuerza, stay strong, be good to each other, help each other out. We're all underneath here. We're all the same family, so be good to each other, stay strong.
That's great, man. Hey, esto ha sido un episodio más y un episodio súper interesante. Me lo he gozado bien, cabrón, de la vuelta con Andy Anderson. Nos busca en todas nuestras redes como La Vuelta PR o La Vuelta Podcast. El episodio 84 desde Canadá. Andy fucking Anderson. Arriba el lobo.
Arriba el lobo.
Yo soy Dave Rivera. Nos vemos en la próxima.
La Vuelta agradece a nuestros auspiciadores.
La Vuelta es traído a ustedes por Borincano 21 en eBay, Roselyn.boutique y Sammy Auto Detailing.